Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I have yet another movie review, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This is a horror film from the UK, English language, released in the year 2014, directed by Brian O'Malley, and this film is called Let Us Pray. So the story of Let Us Pray takes place in this police station, in these holding cells. You've got at the start of the movie this jerk who's young, he's very arrogant, and he's actually a little bit intoxicated. He ends up hitting this guy when he's driving, so it's a hit and run. Basically he hits him and then he tries to go off, and then all of a sudden he's been caught by the police. The police can't find the victim because he's basically just disappeared, and so they take the driver to the police station, to the holding cells, until they can find the victim and press charges. But then all of a sudden the victim arrives at the police station by himself, and he starts to complicate things because there's a lot more to this guy than they first thought. And there's an event that takes place that forces the victim of this hit and run to be put into a jail cell himself, and this is where he starts to manipulate the other people in the jail cells. All of a sudden everyone's forced to confront their past and all the bad things that they've done in what spirals down into a hellish nightmare between good versus evil that threatens to destroy everybody. So whether or not that is the case is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Let Us Pray. After I saw the trailer of this film, I thought this is just going to be a mindless bloodbath. It's just going to be a typical horror film that's going to rely on the gore as opposed to the storyline. But I wanted to see it because of Liam Cunningham, who is an absolutely fantastic British actor, and then you've got Pollyanna McIntosh, who's a brilliant actress. She played the lead in the Lucky McKee film called The Woman. So she's a beautiful actress, and she's also, her role in The Woman was really well done, very animalistic character. So I wanted to see her in something else because I'm not terribly familiar with this actress, but to see her in the film and also Liam Cunningham, that is what tipped me over the edge. I thought, why not have a look? It might surprise me, and I can say that Let Us Pray actually surprised me. It's not a brilliant film, it's not a movie that's going to win any awards, but it's a movie that struck me with a lot more depth than I thought it would have. Now what I mean by that is that yes, this is a gory film. It's a very brutal film, especially towards the end. The brutality just goes off the wall. But it's so much more than that, and it's something that you really have to look for underneath the surface of it. So you've got a horror film, but you've also got a movie that will make you think about your own life. It's about confronting your demons, confronting your guilt. So there are characters in this film that I actually thought were so much more than just a person. It was actually a symbolisation of a conscience. So all these people in the jail cells, they have something in common. What they have in common is a guilty conscience about something they've done in the past. And so when this guy, played by Liam Cunningham, comes into the jail cell, it almost feels like he's an otherworldly figure. He's like a god figure in that he's forcing everyone to come to terms with what they've done, forcing everybody to come, to take responsibility for all the actions that they've taken. And it does show you that some people try to avoid responsibility, but sometimes the conscience will grab you and it won't let you get away. And this is exactly what I thought the film was all about. It was about confronting your demons when you don't want to, and that how hard it can be when you're forced to do it. So that storyline, it plays very well. As I said, it's a very subtle approach the movie has. You can dismiss this as just a gory, a gory lesson in brutality, and if you don't want to look for anything underneath on the surface, then you could just dismiss it as a gory horror film. But for me, I got a lot more than I bargained for, because yeah, that story is something I really liked about it. As I said, just the confronting of your demons and the psychology that the movie has. It's a very atmospheric film. I thought it played very well in the stuff that you can't see, and it also played very well in the stuff that you can see. So the movie starts off with 2D characters, very cardboard cut out. You don't know much about them, and you think that's the way the film's going to pan out, that you're not really going to care about the characters. It's all about how these characters are going to meet their demise. But that's the beauty of the movie, is that when they're forced to confront their demons, you start to know more about these people. So what started off as a very annoying character has turned into a character that is explaining why they are the way they are. So a lot of these films will say, this guy's a jerk, you hate him, and then just watch him die. But in this movie, the guy's a jerk. All of a sudden, you get into his past, he starts confronting his demons, and he starts transforming as a person. And so that happens with a lot of the other characters. And I thought Liam Cunningham's character manipulates them perfectly, and that's what makes it so interesting, and that Liam Cunningham's character says that something's going to happen at a particular time, and that you don't exactly know what's going to happen because you don't know what this guy's all about. Is he a supernatural figure, or is he just a human being who's a little bit nutty? But you know that something really bad's going to happen. So what it is keeps you guessing, and that's what the suspense keeps it going. That if you don't know what's going to happen, that's all. That's what suspense is not knowing. It's the uncertainty. And I thought this movie had it, and it had me on the edge of my seat in quite a few occasions, and it's something, as I said, I didn't expect. I just expected this movie to be a shallow gore fest, but I actually got a lot more out of it than I expected. So Liam Cunningham, fantastic British actor. He played the lead character very, very well. You got Pollyanna McIntosh, who played the female police officer. She does a great job. My criticisms with the film is that it actually felt like everybody was a little bit exaggerated to be a bad guy. There was no real good guy. Everyone had a shady past, and I know that, you know, the movie is saying confront your demons, but it would have been just a little bit better if it was a little bit subtle on playing the bad guys, as in try and paint these characters as damaged souls rather than evil souls. That everyone seems to have an evil intention, and that to me it felt a little bit force-fed, and it didn't feel quite as real. And I thought it would have been a lot better if you had some good guys, some bad guys, but in the movie it's just basically all bad guys, and it's a case of who is badder than the other one, who's worse than the other one, I guess you'd say. And so that I didn't like. As I said, when the director tries to force-feed certain elements, but then other elements aren't force-fed, it feels like they just didn't need that aspect of it. But having said that, it didn't really take a lot away from the film. As I said, it's a movie that does force each and every one of these characters to confront their demons, and I just love that aspect of the film. So the brutality is there. It's very gory towards the end. There are some very painful death scenes, so if you're not a fan of the more the harder type of horror, then I would stay away. But if you like Liam Cunningham, if you like Pollyanna McIntosh, and you like horror movies that are going to make you think, a lot of people think that this is a movie, a religious type of movie, but I don't agree with that. I think, yeah, it does touch on religion, but it doesn't preach it. And overall, you know, the movie, another criticism I have of the movie as well is that the actual idea of confronting your demons isn't necessarily a new idea. It's been done before, in particular an Italian English-speaking film called Wrath of the Crows. I think it was a very similar story to this one. So other movies have this sort of approach to it, this formula and this storyline of, you know, as I said, confronting your demons. But judging for the film on its own, I thought it was well executed in most areas. There's a few problems here and there with the characters, although they do expand to be very interesting. I just thought they were a little bit exaggerated. It's a little bit of black and white, not a lot of grey area in the middle, which is what you need from a character. So the realism is a little bit out the window, but having said that, as I said, it's a very entertaining horror film. It's a horror film that's going to make you think, and as a result of that, I really enjoyed it. So overall, for Let Us Pray, I'm going to give it 3 stars, coming recommended. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.